Hello, my name is Katie Revell, and this is my case study for EDL 858, looking at Truman Elementary School. First off, let's summarize what we know about Truman Elementary. Truman Elementary is home to approximately 700 students. We have a very low number of students who qualify for free and reduced lunch at only 15%. And we only have about 5% of students who speak a language other than English. Overall, our reading scores are not where they need to be, nor is our reading instruction. In fact, parents are even starting to speak out in different avenues such as the PTO. I have asked my reading supervisor from the district to come and kind of confirm some of my suspicions as to what might be going on. I'm also going to apply for a grant through the State Department of Education, so it's important that I make a plan that I can outline in that grant. So looking at our problem identification and analysis, there are three areas of what do we know, what do we need to know, and then overall identifying the problems. So for starters, what do we know? Truman is the largest district elementary school. We do have a reading supervisor that's available to help collaborate with me. The PTO has reached out about their concerns. Reading instruction is mostly being performed in a whole group class setting, and teachers are not all on the same page about reading instruction. There seems to not be a set number of minutes that are needed for reading, and we do have the lowest reading scores out of the district. A grant is on the line, so I have got to make a plan. What do we need to know? There are still a lot of questions here. How are other schools doing reading instruction? What areas are they having success in? How active of a role does the reading supervisor play since it is one supervisor for the entire district? Is there enough para support if I wanted to implement small group instruction? Is the reading curriculum enough? Do we need to look at maybe a new curriculum in general? What kind of progress monitoring or benchmarking is currently being done? What assessments are we using for that? And overall, why does math seem to be performing higher? There are two main categories that I see when identifying the problems, and those are instruction and the curriculum itself. So as far as instruction, overall, we know that students perform best in a small group setting. There has got to be some differentiated instruction, especially for phonics and reading comprehension at low grade levels. Students are all over the place, and it's clear that many students are bored and waiting for their classmates to catch up, while other students are just simply not having their needs met. In order to do that, there has got to be some kind of school-wide MTSS plan, whether that's a formal multi-tiered system of support or just starting to look at having reading groups, having phonics groups, having intervention groups. There's got to be some sort of plan put in place. Then the curriculum itself. Is the curriculum effective? Is the curriculum doing its job, or are the teachers not doing their job? So first off, phonics-based curriculum is essential in grades K2. So we've got to look at how to incorporate more phonics and create a better foundation for these readers. And there needs to be fidelity to a curriculum because skills are not currently transferring from grade level to grade level. So it's clear that what's being taught in kindergarten isn't transferring to first, isn't transferring to second, and that could be because teachers are all speaking a different language. So there's got to be some fidelity to a curriculum. So here's my proposed plan. We're going to look at outline steps needed to resolve the problem and then strategies on how to implement that plan. So the first area for my plan of action is instruction. I think that I need to start by creating an MTSS team. So I have got to have some sort of team established that's going to help me solve this problem. On that team, I would want to have the reading supervisor, myself, maybe a lead teacher in some of the lower levels to talk about phonics, as well as an intermediate teacher, an upper elementary teacher, maybe even someone from another school in our district to come talk about how they are currently successful in reading instruction. We have got to differentiate instruction. Like I said, that could be a formal process or that could be something a little bit more informal at each grade level. And there's going to have to be some major adjustments made to support this. So master schedule may have to be adjusted in order to incorporate small groups. We're going to have to look at para scheduling and how can they support small group instruction. We need to start progress monitoring students. Students need to know where they're at. Teachers need to know where they're at. And they have got to create some goals about how to see improvement on their progress monitoring. We also need to have a school-wide reading plan that's going to have instruction times laid out. Some people are doing an hour, some people are doing 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. Everyone needs to have a language arts block that is outlined for them. Curriculum. I need to work with the reading supervisor to evaluate the holes in curriculum. So, is the curriculum currently doing its job? If not, what holes are there in the curriculum? Clearly, phonics is currently a hole that we have got to fill. We need to then either adopt a new curriculum or start teaching our current one with fidelity and figure out how to make it work. We need to incorporate phonics-based spelling. Spelling is important, and if we can have it be phonics-based, we can tie in some of those phonetic skills. And I need to complete the grant application so that we can support our resources that we need. That might include consider hiring a reading specialist specific to Truman. One reading supervisor for the district is simply not enough. If I have 700 students in my building, there's a very good chance that by adding a reading specialist to oversee the data and implementation of some of these changes could make a big improvement. Here are some strategies that I'm going to use. First off, I have got to delegate some time to collaborate with our reading supervisor. The reading supervisor had some great feedback and some great proposed areas of implementation, and I need to continue to collaborate with the reading supervisor. And communication is always key. I need to reach out to the other district principals about how their reading instruction is currently being done and if it's effective. I also need to communicate my action plan to the PTO. We have some upset parents and we want to include parents in the process. I want them to know that their concerns are valid and we are going to address them, and I want them to stay up to date about what we're doing. I want to use data to motivate teachers for change. They need to see that we are currently not meeting students' needs and that needs to change. And I want to provide professional development to teachers about effective read instruction. Right now, effective instruction is not taking place school-wide. So if I want to ask teachers to change, I need to provide professional development for them. And I need to make a plan that's going to start with small concrete steps that will then build off of each other to incorporate more change over a few years. Okay, how can I promote success for all students? What's best for students? And I need to have data-driven resolution to the problem. So I promote success in these three areas. I need to support people, have high communication, and I use data. So there are low reading percentiles on the test results. Because of that, I have got to provide teachers with adequate reading professional development and support them. There are low scores in the district overall, so I have got to advocate for more reading support by requesting a reading specialist for Truman. Communication. I need to use other schools in the district and talk to them about how they're modeling their reading instruction. And I need to be open with the PTO. I need to acknowledge that their concerns are valid, that we are seeing that problem ourselves, and that we're going to address that. Now, data. We notice that the data supports that there are negative grades scores when you look at when a student transfers from grade to grade to grade. So because of that, we need to start differentiating instruction, and we need to collaborate with each other. Weekly and monthly progress monitoring could be very, very helpful to track student growth. Debriefing the problem. What was I thinking, feeling, and valuing when responding to this case study? And what unresolved issues are there still left that we are still left with? So thinking, feeling, and valuing. Thinking, why does a school with 700 students not have their own reading specialist? If we want to really look at data and look at how to implement that, there's got to be some leader to do that. And usually in a school that size, the principal can't handle all of that. Does the reading curriculum really not include phonics at a K2 level? And if so, are teachers, or are teachers just not using the curriculum effectively? I was feeling very empowered. As a leader, if I want to embark upon this big journey, it's nice that I have data to support the need for change. I felt very overwhelmed as well because there are some dramatic changes that need to happen in the reading instruction in my building. Valuing. Data is worthless if it doesn't cause us to change. So we've got to put the data to use. And I was valuing the need for problem solving skills. That goes for myself. I want students to be problem solvers, teachers to be problem solvers, and I see the value in that. Unresolved issues. Is the curriculum to blame, or is the ineffective instruction to blame? If the curriculum is to blame, we've got to get a new curriculum. If the instruction is to blame, we've got to dramatically change our instruction. How can we implement small groups and progress monitoring from scratch? Do we have a schedule? Do we have personnel? Do we have data resources that will support these changes that I'm basically suggesting? Why are students having more success in math? What are we doing differently to support our students in math? Promoting success. There are 4 key areas I'm going to look at for promoting success: family engagement, communication of data, knowledge of policy, and establishing dialogue with decision makers. For promoting family engagement, I listen to the parents. I acknowledge that their concerns are valid, and I come to them with a plan. So all of those things can really help to promote student engagement throughout this process. For communicating data, I see the need in the data, so I reach out to the supervisor, I collaborate, I create a plan for the grant based off that data, and I can use data to motivate teachers to act and adapt. Knowledge of policies. I have a knowledge of multi-tiered system of support, and I can use that to help this school. I can implement a structure of progress monitoring. I know that the data supports there's a need for that. And I can advocate for more resources through policies and using the State Department to apply for a grant. Establishing dialogue, that's so key in solving problems. I'm going to collaborate with other administrators in the district and learn from them. I'm going to consider hiring a specialist to oversee student improvement. And I'm going to seek professional development for teachers to improve their instruction. That is my plan for this case study. I learned a lot during this experience, and thank you so much for watching.